Hi, I'm Mary. Thanks for joining me. Today, I am going to be doing my book review by popular request of Lisa Bongean's Wool, Needle, and Thread. This is a fantastic book. When I first decided I wanted to do wool applique about a year ago, I tried to find certain tutorials and books and all kinds of things to show me how to do this because none of my friends did wool applique that lived nearby, and it was something I really wanted to try. So after searching a while, I found this book and loved it, and I found it to be so informative that I decided to go headfirst into wool applique. That's when I signed up for the wool boxes this last year, and I really have loved it ever since. This is a fantastic book. She has explains from start to finish on how you do your projects. She goes over the supplies you need, which includes like your different fusibles. She'll talk about your different needles. Personally, my personal needles that I like are her embellishment needles and her Chanel needles. Those are my two favorites. What different marking tools you can use. I personally like to use the fine tip Sharpie. This works really good. I can see it real well. The only thing that I would suggest is I sometimes find when I put it on my steam to seam 2 that sometimes when I iron, some of it fades off or transfers onto the iron. So you want to be careful about that. You don't want to lose your traced design, but you also want to be sure if it gets onto your iron that you clean your iron, because you sure don't want to have that transfer over onto like a white quilt. That would be bad. So just a heads up, be careful about iron transfer in whatever marking tool you use. She talks about the different threads and needle sizes, which is really, really helpful. Some of the other tools you might need. I personally like the Martinelli tweezers. Picking up small pieces and placing them, not so easy with my fumbly little fingers. So these are perfect for me. She also talks about her stem making and her stem rulers, and I actually love these rulers. I don't think you can really see them. They have a smaller one and a larger one, and I think they actually measure out at something like 3/16, but when you make the finished product, it magically becomes a 1/4 inch. I don't know how it works, but it does work, and it's really a fantastic design. I have no idea how she managed that one, but it's great. And then some of my personal favorite for scissors are these Karen K. Buckley scissors. These things are great. So, and then another thing that I personally like to use is applique glue. When I iron my wool, I'm still nervous about it, so I tend to get some lifting, and I'm always afraid I'm going to singe my wool. So little tiny dabs of applique glue. This is the glue Based It by Roxanne. I use this for my applique on fabric too. This stuff is really great, and it kind of keeps my pieces in place when I am afraid to iron it a little too much. So I hope you find that helpful. Back to the book, she goes over techniques. She talks about when you start a project and you're making your base to put your pieces on, how you prepare that, what you do with your fusible web, how you keep your fusible web in shape, which was really helpful for me. I wouldn't have thought of that, and it works out really well, how to prepare your shapes. how to make the stems. And she goes into the fusing techniques. Like I said, I am still nervous, so I have a tendency to fall back on my applique glue. After you go through all of the supplies that you need and you're putting your main piece together, she starts talking about your different stitches. And I love that. Every page has pictures on it with numbers, and each number corresponds to the directions. And explains about connecting a penny rug. So if you have all those little pennies and you want to just connect them together, she has some great explanation about that. Several different stitches, which includes, again, lots of pictures, and I like having the pictures because you can read something over and over and over again, but unless you can actually visually see it, I personally struggle with what somebody's trying to say, and she explains it well, and she's got so many pictures to go with them. It's just fantastic. And if you have not seen this book, I think you should check it out because it really is very helpful for, especially for someone that is a beginner, but also if you've been doing this a long time. Some of these knots are really impressive. Feather stitch, fly stitch. I was just impressed. Lazy daisy stitch. Let me see if I can find, here we go, lazy daisy. See if you can see. Isn't that a pretty stitch? I just love that. And I wouldn't have been able to figure out some of these even with watching videos without seeing like the instruction and the picture to go with it. I just found it really, really helpful. And in fact, I did find that there were some videos that she has done on some of these different stitches, and I found those to be helpful and have the book to fall back on to look at it. I'm still trying to, the drizzle stitch. I am not so good at that yet, but I am trying. I'm still trying to get better at some of these different stitches. A bullion stitch. Who would have ever thought something was called a bullion stitch? But it's a really, really cool stitch. And in fact, the piece that I just showed you for an example of something lifting actually calls for this stitch. Let me see if I can find the finished picture of that. I don't want to show too much and get in trouble, but there's a bullion stitch up in there. Isn't that cool? I just thought that was pretty neat. And then at the end of the book, it has a few projects that you can make from this book. I thought this was kind of pretty. And a pin cushion. Oh, and I love this. Of course, I love anything that's like Halloweenish crows or owls and things like that. I love Halloween and autumn and fall decorating. So I have not made that one, but I think I'm probably going to make that one real soon. But this book, I think if I had not found it, I would have never continued with wool applique because I struggled with it. I struggled with trying to figure out how to get started and what do I do with all these pieces, and it just kind of grounded me to where I could look. And when I got working on something, I found if I struggled with did I have it just right, I could go back to the book and look again. Okay, yeah, I got that right. And the stitches, really a big help. Going over each of the stitches with each of the pictures, I can kind of look back at my piece of work and look at the stitch and be like, okay, I'm getting this right. And then there is a companion book to this, Wool, Needle, and Thread 2. Do not confuse this with the guide, because this is more of a project book, which is also a very good book, but it is more for projects and not for step-by-step instructions. So do not confuse that with, isn't that pretty? Don't confuse this book with the one that is the guidebook with the step-by-step instructions that show each of your stitches, each of your, there you go, what supplies you might need. They're both great books, but if you're just starting, you want to get the first one. The second one is a project book, which again, like I said, it's got some great projects in it. But I hope that you found this helpful, and I really appreciate you hanging in there with me on this video. I'm trying. And let me know what else you would like me to do on my channel. If you have any suggestions, that would be great. I have a couple more videos coming out. I do have my video done for the wool box for this month, but I am holding off on posting that until later on, as Primitive Gatherings has asked me to do that, and I'm fine with that. It's more for people who are thinking about getting it than so much people who already get it, because I don't want to have the surprise spoiled. So it's more for if you're thinking about you might want to do those boxes, then those are the videos for you, in my opinion. I also have a couple more videos that I'm coming out to do with my Tilda stuff, so I think you'll find those kind of fun. And I'll post with my next wool video I have coming also some of my projects that I received in my last box. You'll be able to see where I'm at on the January box. So you'll be able to get an idea of how really bad I am at this or how really good I am at this. That is your opinion, and I'm just having fun, and that's all that really matters. And so I hope you really enjoyed watching this, and I really appreciate your support of my channel. I would love if you give me a thumbs up on this video. If you're not a subscriber, I would really appreciate you consider subscribing to my channel, and look for me on Facebook at Mary Palmer Designs and Instagram. And I hope you all have a great evening, and that I see you all again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you.